Hello YouTube, that's Billy Ray. So we're going to do what I think is about an 8-hour review on this AGT H12 Chinese excavator. I say I think about 8 hours because I bought the thing with 16 hours on it, and then I forgot to plug, and they unplugged the hour meter on it, and I forgot to plug it back in. So it's only showing about 21 hours, and I have to continue to unplug the hour meter because the battery disconnect, it shouldn't be in this position to be off. So on is this way, off is this way, but the battery disconnect doesn't work unless it's just kind of off at an angle like that right there, and that's not proper. And it will randomly just pop in. So I have to keep the hour meter unplugged or it'll just keep climbing and I forget to plug it back in. That's one issue with this thing. Another issue is there was a lot of loose bolts. A lot of loose bolts. Especially on the undercarriage. When I first started using it, you could hear clinking and clanking when you turn. I'm not going to get down on the ground, it's wet to show you. But so we had to tighten a lot of those bolts up. And the paint job is just not all that good. They come with these scuffs that's already starting to rust. So we're going to have to repaint it. Man, it's not a bad machine, but it's definitely got its quirks. It gets really hot, and after about an hour and a half, you can start smelling hydraulic fluid. Hot hydraulic fluid. Anyway, so this is for auxiliary implements that you can put on the front that I haven't done yet, but I'm scared to use it, and I'll show you why here in a second. This is the drives. This thing has way more. This is the left drive. This thing is way easier to use. It takes less pressure to pull this one than it does this one. The right drive, the handle itself hangs, like the valve body hangs. You got to put way more pressure to it. So if you're idled high, it can get a little complicated to drive because it doesn't take the same amount of pressure to run these two. This one takes more pressure to use than this side does. And I'm not exactly sure how to fix that, but we're going to investigate that. I mean, for the most part, it seems like it's a solid machine. I've pushed quite a bit of stuff with this blade, and the push blade hasn't given me any issues at all. With this thing being so short and narrow, it is definitely wobbly. There's been a few times driving it on my property down into gullies that I was a little nervous with how rocky it is. Some of the things I noticed, and one of the reasons why I'm not willing so this is the hydraulic line for other implements to put on, and like a thumb. And if you look here, this is just some of the damage on this one hydraulic line. And on the other side, there's damage on the hydraulic line as well. And then one of the hydraulic lines for the boom, yeah, it's this one. I don't know if you can see that, but it's rubbing against this sharp edge here. So we're going to need to put some covers on this, maybe grind this down and smooth it out some. The other side hasn't started doing it yet, but I'm sure that if one side's doing it, the other side's going to do it. The whole thing is squeaky. The booms are kind of squeaky a little bit. The hydraulic cylinders make a good amount of noise. There was no Zerk fittings in these things. It's all plugged off. I've bought 10 Zerk fittings, which was $16 for 10 Zerk fittings that'll fit this. I bought them the other day. I just haven't had a chance to put them in yet. So we're going to see how that goes with grease and everything. It says you should grease it about 8 hours, so I'm just going to go ahead and grease everything. The manual that they give you sucks. It gives you an exploded view of what all the, what the parts are, but they give you no serial numbers, no parts numbers, no real way to track down the parts. So that's kind of aggravating. But overall, it's not been a bad machine. It's done everything I asked it to, even if it was a little quirky. I've dragged vehicles off of trailers with this thing and moved them around the yard. So, I mean, this thing pulled a 5,000-pound truck, in neutral, of course, about a quarter mile the other day with just a strap tied to that boom right there. So, I mean, it for a little 13 horsepower motor, it sure knows. I mean, it sure can work. Here's one of the packs of the fittings. It is 8mm by 1. So these are what will work to change all the Zerk fittings over, and they're expensive. I got them at Tractor Supply. But this is not a bad machine. Not a bad machine at all. I've had tractors that cost more than this that had more problems, and I'm talking brand new tractors. So years ago, granted this was back in the 90s, but my family had bought quite a few John Deeres back in the 90s that had serious malfunctions within a month of owning them. So I don't think we're doing too bad. I think we're doing all right. Just takes a little bit of skill and knowledge, and if you ain't got it, you can learn it. And that's what this whole project's about. That's what homesteading's about, is learning new things and learning how to be good with your hands. Well, y'all have a good now.